You talk about power. In verse 28 of Daniel 4, all this came upon King Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon. And the king spake and said, Is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty? And while the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, thy power is gone. The kingdom is departed from thee. And you know the story? They sent him out. He went out as an animal for 7 years. And he grew this long, funny hair like feathers and this long toenails and fingernails. And he ate in the field with the animals for 7 years. Verse 33, the same hour the thing was fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar. And he was driven from men and did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven till his hairs were grown like eagle feathers and his nails like bird claws. And at the end of the days I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven. That's the end of 7 years. And he said, and my understanding returned to me. And I blessed the Most High. You better believe he did. I blessed the Most High, and I praised and honored him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, from generation to generation. And now verse 37, he goes, Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all whose works are truth and his ways judgment. Oh, and a footnote. And those that walk in pride, he is able to abase.
Amen.
He is able to abase. The bottom line with power is it's relative. You only have it for a short while. Someone always has more, and then you die and you lose it all. And that's just the way it is. Just the way it is. Back to Jeremiah 9. Jeremiah chapter 9 again. Let not the wise man glory in his wisdom. Let not the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches. Now we know the love of money is the root of all evil. Now some less than genuine translations will say all kinds of evil. If your translation says all kinds of evil, I encourage you to consider the Textus Receptus, the received text, what we know as the King James, and there's other versions of it too, but that's just one. But it doesn't mean all kinds of evil. It literally means all evil. The Greek word is pas, P-A-S. It means everything. It means all manner of, the whole, every. It means nothing excluded, thoroughly, whatsoever, whosoever. It means the whole kit and caboodle. That's what that word means in the Greek. The love of money is the root of all evil. So if you see evil over here and you see evil over here, you can bet your bottom dollar that the result of it is the love of money. The love of money, it's the root of all evil. Money changes people. Now most of us think we could handle it if we had money. If we had a lot of money, we won the lottery, we think we could handle it. Oh, I could do it. I know I could.
No way.
Yeah, I'd be just like Abraham. I'd be just like Job, right? Most of us could not handle the money. That's the truth. God says it is. And when it comes to money, a lot of people take the quality cop out. You know, they buy a house they can't afford, they buy a car they can't afford, because simply pride and vanity. You know, I knew a guy in the church in the early 80s. He's a young guy. He had regular minimum wage job. He had a junker car. You know what he went out and did? He went out and financed a Rolex watch. He financed a Rolex watch. You know, he said it was because he wanted to have quality. You know, if I went out to buy a new car and I came back with a Mercedes instead of the Ford Pinto my wife sent me out to get, and I told her it was because I wanted quality, I'd be finding myself spending a quality night's sleep on the sidewalk.
Amen.
Money changes people. I saw a man who won a lottery. He said the money didn't change him a bit. He said, money didn't change me a bit. And they showed the before and after, and they had the television crew, and here he was over as a janitor working on the boiler. And then the camera switches back to his house. And there he is. He's sitting there on his white sofa, in his white carpet, in his white sport coat, in his white pants, in his white shoes, and his white top hat, and his white walking stick. Money didn't change me a bit. Money didn't change me a bit. I've always been strange. You know what, people that get money, that makes them strange. Money changes people. It makes people arrogant. They think because they got a gold ring, now they get to sit in a special place. They become so jaded they can't even enjoy the normal things in life. The Bible tells us that money will drown people in foolish and hurtful lusts. And Solomon said it. He said, I looked under the sun. He said, I had everything, I did everything, I saw everything, and it was a waste of time.
Amen. That's it.
Jesus said, take heed, Luke 12, take heed, beware of covetousness, for a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possessed. So each of these false values are separate and distinct. The wisdom, the power, the might, the riches, the money. But they have a kind of a fabric of kind of a commonality to them. Number one is they're not lasting, and number two, you could never be satisfied with them. They're not lasting, you can never be satisfied. They're not lasting. They're going to fade away. Moth and rust will corrupt them. Anything that's wood, stubble, and hay is going to be burned up. Wilt thou set thine eyes upon which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away as an eagle toward heaven. Proverbs 25. Lay not up for yourselves treasure upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through to steal. But lay up for yourselves treasure in heaven, where neither moth nor rust corrupt, and where thieves cannot break in and they can't steal it. Matthew chapter 6. So they disappear, and you can never be satisfied. They're insatiable. The eye is never satisfied. Hell and destruction are never full. So the eyes of man are never satisfied. Proverbs 27. So when you rely on these props, like all those men I read at the first, when you rely on these props all your life, these false values of riches, wisdom, and power and might to get through life, how lonely, how terrifying it must be at the end. How terrifying it must have been last week for David Bowie.
Yeah.
See, he was filthy rich. He was world famous. He was married to a supermodel. He had millions of adoring fans around the world. And now it's very, very probable he is in hell for all eternity. Here's a quote from him. Questioning my spiritual life has always been germane to what I was writing. It's because I'm not quite an atheist, and it worries me. There's that little bit of me that holds on. Well, I'm almost an atheist. Give me a couple of months. So guess what, David? You've got a lot more than a couple of months now to think about it. And now the end begins for David Bowie. How horrible, how terrible, how sad, how utterly pathetic. Hell and destruction are never full. The bottom line, when these false values have finally come full circle, here's the ultimate end. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. And then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. So what are the true values? What are the things that really matter? It says in verse 24, let him that glorieth, glorieth in this, that he understands and knows me.
That's it.
The first true value, the first thing that really matters is contact with God. Contact with God. You know, sometimes I pull up to a stoplight, and I see the guy next to me. And I'm about 99% sure he doesn't know God at all, and he doesn't know his son. The clues are all around. There's loud, profane, ungodly rap music busting out of the windows. I see them partying, maybe smoking a joint, or they have some godless bumper sticker on their car. It says, by your fruits you shall know them. By their fruits you shall know them. Then I have an odd thought. Odd thought, but I'm thinking, in a world of 7 billion people, there's only a handful that really, truly know God. And I'm one of them. And he's not. And David Bowie's not. And Brad Pitt's not. But I do. Odd thought, but a true thought nonetheless. At that time you were without Christ, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope and without God in the world. Ephesians chapter 2. For verily I say unto you that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which you see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which you hear, and have not heard them. I know God, I know why I'm here, and they don't. And that's the first true value. The second goes right along with it. What is truth? Truth. The second true value is truth. Jesus is many, many things. He's all kinds of superlatives you could use. You could put them all in 3 columns. Put at the top of the page, 1 column here, 1 column here, 1 column here, and put everything under one of those 3. He's the way, the truth, and the life.
Amen.
Everything would come under one of those 3 columns.
That's it.
And Pilate said to him, what is truth? Now, the word he said in the Greek, he would have been in a Roman court. And the Latin is veritas. He said, what is veritas? Which is the goddess, their number one goddess. It's the goddess of something. Forget what it is, fertility or something. Lives in a well. She lives in a well. How dumb is that? And now Jesus said, thy word is truth, and I am the truth. He said, the emat is what he said. I am the truth. But Pilate was trying to rationalize the truth. What is veritas? Anyways, what is the truth? It's the truth to you. It might be different than the truth to me. So Jesus set him straight. I am the truth. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. Most people don't have the truth. Most people don't have the truth. You know why? Because most people don't want the truth. They don't want the truth.
Right.
That's their problem. Don't give yourself an ulcer because of someone else's problem. They don't want the truth. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it seeth him not, neither knoweth him. But you know him, for he dwelleth with you, and shall be in you. Sanctify them through thy truth, he said elsewhere. Thy word is truth. And while the rest of the world walks around blind as a bat, you and I are in possession of the truth. This third true value is character. Character is the third true value on my list. The world honors what's known as character substitutes. Beauty, power, fame, money. The world imputes to these things character, but that is not character. There is no substitute for character. None. And our society does not honor character. And as a result, because of this, Christians have trials. Because the world does not honor character. That the trial of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise, honor, and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ. 1 Peter 1 verse 7. The trial of our faith, the third true value, is character. The fourth, and you might find this one odd, the fourth true value seems kind of odd, but you got to think about it. It's humility. Pride alienates God. You want to alienate God? Good. I'll tell you how. Just strut around town with a proud look. That'll do the job. These 6 things doth the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood. He names 7 things, but the first thing on the list is a proud look. You want to get God's attention? Here's how. This is one of the best scriptures in all the Bible. Isaiah 66:2, you don't have to turn there. It says, for all these things hath mine hand made. And all these things have been, saith the Lord. But to this man will I look, him who is poor and of a contrite spirit, and trembleth at my word. Humility is a true value. Humility is something that really matters. The fifth and final on my list is wisdom. Get wisdom. Get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not, neither decline the words of my mouth. Proverbs 4. A quick lesson here. A lot of people get confused between knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. I'll give you a quick primer to show you the difference. Knowledge is facts, just the pure accumulation of facts. You know, when I was a kid, I was 10 years old in the middle of the 60s, and I had baseball cards, and I memorized baseball statistics on the back of these cards. I don't know why. I still don't know why. And I don't know this, but I remember them. And I do. I cannot believe it, but I remember. Frank Robinson, he had 49 home runs in 1966. He had 122 RBIs that year, and he batted .316. And that's the truth, and I didn't look that up. I just know that. And I remember these facts. I told this to a pastor many, many years ago. He says, oh, it's great, you know that. Do you know the 10 Commandments? So, knowledge is just the accumulation of facts. Then there's another layer upon knowledge. It's called understanding. And that's the ability to see those facts and to see what they mean and how they interrelate and what story they tell. Like the fact is E equals MC squared, but do you have an understanding of E equals MC squared? I really don't. I just know the fact that E equals MC squared. But then, so there's knowledge, there's understanding, and then there's wisdom. True wisdom is letting God take you where He wants you to go. Letting God take you where He wants you to go. In other words, wisdom charts the path. There's the path, and wisdom tells me to get on that path. God tells you in Proverbs 8 that all you could ever want, everything in the whole world you could ever want, does not compare with wisdom. So get wisdom. So there's my list. You could come with your own list. There's all kinds of things you could put on the list, and we only have so much time, so I put those things on my list. Contact with God, the truth, character, the odd duck of humility, and finally, wisdom. So what do these all have in common? Well, several things. The true values, the things that really matter, they have some things in common. They're lasting, they're satisfying, they're renewable, they're available, and they're free.
Amen.
Aha! They're free. They're lasting, to an inheritance incorruptible and undefiled, and that fadeth not away, reserved for you in heaven. 1 Peter 1. So they're lasting. They're satisfying. Psalm 145. Thou openest thine hand and satisfy the desire of every living thing. So they're lasting, they're satisfying, and they're renewable. Those others aren't. For that cause we faint not. But though our outward man perisheth, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. 2 Corinthians 4. So they're lasting, they're satisfying, they're renewable, and they're available.
Yes.
It says in Isaiah 55, verse 1, Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters, and he that hath no money, come ye, buy, and eat. Yea, come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. So they're lasting, they're